City of Philadelphia, it's really the city of Philadelphia. And I'm sorry to call it that, but that is what it is.
Listen, I'm not the king of fun, I'm the king of everything, man. We moving out this shit, man. Like, we got Allegheny, we got Ar-abbe, we got 18th Street. We got like from the 20th Street all the way to Broad Street. It's an epidemic.
A group of people was standing at the intersection of 12th and West Huntington Streets in North Philadelphia when they were sprayed with a hail of gunfire.
I'm assuming you know who the person is.
Actually,
yeah, that sounds very personal.
Actually, I never really find out who shot me because I've been into a lot of shit. So I keep it all real. I robbed a couple niggas. I took some bricks from some people. Recently, right before that.
Check this out. There's $500,000 on the table, man. OBH Records. I got my own company. Huh? This is OBH Records. I got my own company. I'm independent for real.
Right. We got to check into the wild story of Ar-abbe, one of Philly's most notorious rappers who got caught up in a big drug trafficking case, where the city witnessed the takedown of him and his crew, the original Block Hustlers, or OBH. The feds, the state, and police all worked together as part of the FBI's Violent Gang Safe Streets Task Force program to address the violent crime that was affecting the community. With the feds tapping phones and even moving into one of OBH's apartments to prove the huge traffic of people going in and out of the apartment were drug deals being made. This is a guy who was making headlines not just for his music, but for his street cred and the legal mess that followed. Now, Ar-abbe wasn't just any rapper from Philly. He gained a huge following, was getting booked for shows, doing interviews, collaborating with big names like Meek Mill. But behind the music, he was sending his OBH goons on dummy missions from smuggling drugs, armed robberies, shootings, and more. You see, the feds had their eyes on OBH for years. They built this whole case by putting up cameras outside their trap houses, setting up undercover sting operations, monitoring Instagram where they posted a load of guns, drugs, and money.
Throw that shit in the air!
You run your own hood, you walk around shit bang with all your fucking hands. You feel me? And one morning, we fucked that day, man. Leaky's made 60,000 this morning, Sean. I know.
Interviews with witnesses and evidence they found on phones that show the drug routes from Philadelphia to California, with folks taking monthly trips, smuggling huge quantities of cocaine by car to bring the product home, and flood the streets of Philadelphia, where AR would launder the profits in cars, music, and high-end properties around Philly. Now, Ar-abbe was getting millions and millions of views for his music, had mentors in the music industry like Birdman and Cassidy, having doors opened up to him like never before, now sentenced to 45 years in prison. So Philadelphia has some of rap's biggest names come out from like Lil Uzi Vert, PNB Rock, Meek Mill, and the newer faces like QT7 Kwani and Skrilla. It was actually the city of many firsts. The first hospital ever built in the U.S. was built in Philadelphia, where now 1 in every 6 doctors in the States gets medical training. It was also named the birthplace of America. It was the city where the country's 2 most important documents, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, were written and signed. However, it has the highest violent crime rate of the top 10 American cities, as well as the highest poverty rate, with most of the crimes happening in North Philly and West Philly. There's a huge opioid and overdose epidemic happening in the city, where 90% of the heroin contains xylazine, or tranq, which is used as an anesthetic for veterinary procedures. Addicts are taking this shit for a next-level high that causes loss of consciousness, eats into their flesh, and leads to amputations. It's fucking wild. And in an area in Philly called Kensington, which is basically a super drug hotspot. It's been given the name Zombieland because it literally looks like a scene straight out of The Walking Dead. If you walk down the streets, you'll see junkies inject themselves in broad daylight, then stand folded over sleeping. For Ar-abbe, he grew up in North Philly, Allegheny Avenue on the western side of Broad Street. Growing up, had a very disciplined upbringing in a strict Muslim Christian household, graduated high school, and even had a plumbing license. But he didn't like the fact his homeboys didn't have to follow any rules or have curfew like he did. He wanted more freedom, and so he left home at 15 and took to the streets with his blood brother, Lick Moss. So Ar-abbe and Lick Moss start making a name for themselves in the streets. Even though they're brothers, they were in different crews, so they didn't roll together, but instead stayed out of each other's way. Ar-ab grew up on one of the most money-generating blocks because it was known for its crack, where you'll see 100 crackheads on the block all day. Transvestites, prostitutes, you name it. And when his OG died, there was a drought on the block that made Ar-ab bring in another plug from a whole different neighborhood who was more experienced than him with managing the drug operation. But when this happened, it started a drug war in Philly that ended up getting the plug's father and brother killed. And after that happened, the plug backed down, wanting out, and gave his whole operation to Ar-ab. So at 19, you had Ar-ab running his own block, having his own crib, owning multiple cars, and paying his mom's bills. Shit was good. Until it wasn't.
Police claim that Cassidy was one of 3 men who took part in a shooting on April 15th in his Philly neighborhood, which did leave 1 man dead and 2 others with gunshot wounds. But Cassidy's lawyer has said that the allegations are not true and that he was not involved in the shooting.
Because in 2005, Ar-ab and his friend Cassidy get caught on the run by the police after being wanted for a murder. Ar-ab decides to take it to trial, which was risky, but with the weight he has in the streets, to literally make no one dare to testify against him, that's exactly what happens. And in the trial, the 2 key witnesses don't show up to testify. And they end up withdrawing their confessions made in the whole case, which was good news for the both of them. And after 2 years fighting it, Ab was found not guilty. Cassidy, on the other hand, took a plea deal and was convicted of involuntary manslaughter, but only having to serve 15 months in prison. Now, while Ar-ab was doing his time, he starts to write more, calling Cassidy on the jail phone just to spit to him, and one day he tells Cassidy that he's ready to take music seriously. Cassidy actually sees the potential in him. So when Ar-ab comes home in 2007, he moves in with Cassidy, who signs him under his label. They immediately get to work and start dropping freestyles together and even making tracks with names like French Montana and Meek. Some years goes by, and Ar-ab's music doesn't take off like they thought it would. So Cassidy stops investing in him and moves to New York to fully focus on his own career. That turns into Ar-ab disliking him, where he starts to throw shots at Cassidy in interviews and make a diss track about him. Time goes on and Ar-ab is still in the streets while working on his music, when him, Dark Low, Lick Moss, and his cousin Kaz, being inspired by Big Meech and BMF, plan how to get money together as a brotherhood and come up with the name Original Block Hustlers, a gang made up of a bunch of savages that used to get into shootouts with each other. Within OBH, you got members like Skinny Me, who's originally from Ohio, currently doing life for murder, Ant, who got shot in the head twice, survives and then kills one of his ops the same night, but he dies early on in the war. Taz, who killed a former OBH member, RJ, on Ar-ab's word, New Breaks Bras, Breezy Baguettes, Pretty Flock, to name a few. So you had sets like Goonie Gang and Struggle 2 Bubble and others from different sections in Philly come together to take over the city as one, selling drugs across Philly by any means, whether that's finessing plugs, shooting at ops, eliminating competition. It didn't matter, and it got done. Ar-ab, being the face of OBH, was respected and feared in the streets, but made a lot of enemies who wanted to put him down for good. Shit got serious when money was put on his head, and in just a couple months apart, in 2011, he gets shot on 2 separate occasions. The first time he was shot 3 times, and the second time, shot 10 times, when he was driving around Kensington at night with his cousin high off perks and drinking lean, when a bunch of goons who had been following him hop out at the lights and start firing into his car. What's crazy is, after he gets hit up, he drives himself to the hospital and tells his cousin to take the car and his phone because he was afraid of his girlfriend going through it. Ab's music career really starts to take off when Drake and Meek were beefing in 2015, when Drake mentions him in his track Back to Back, which was a diss song to Meek Mill. Now that actually led to Meek and Ab beefing.
Fuck Ar-ab. Niggas get on motherfucking camera and get to talking all this dark murder shit. Y'all niggas don't do shit but get shot the fuck up.
Now that spilled into the streets but got squashed after a phone call. Meanwhile though, Ar-ab had everyone's attention with rumors he might be signing to Drake's label OVO, but it was actually Birdman that would end up linking up with him where they met up in LA to talk about signing to Cash Money Records. They got close, and one time Birdman loses a Super Bowl bet to Ar-ab and has to pay him $200K. Ab doesn't end up signing to Birdman because the offer didn't make sense to him, but ends up making his own label, OBH Records, instead signing the rawest artists from the streets like Skinny Me, who was a known killer, Lil Johnny, who would carry a Mac 11 with him and pray to the devil, and Dark Low, who he met when they was trapping on the same block years back. In one vlog, when he's introducing the new 4 artists signed to OBH Records, he introduces Skinny Me, and goes on to say that the reason he likes his music is basically because his lyrics are so raw and real. And then goes on to admitting seeing exactly what Skinny Me raps about.
That's what I like about Skinny Me music, man. It's just raw. Skinny Me will go through a situation, and guess what? It's gonna be in the song. He's gonna make a song about it the same day. So I know, that's why I feel it so much. I know it. When he said I killed the nigga and I did that, I seen him do it. I know he did it for a fact.
Crazy part to this is Ab would go on to interviews and appear on vlogs to tell stories about his street life in Philly like they were history lessons. Name me another rapper who has a 3-part self-snitching compilation on YouTube. So the OBH enterprise is growing and expanding in both the music and on streets. In 2017, OBH becomes a serious drug operation when Ab recruits a guy called Boogie, who had a trucking company in Las Vegas called Team Transportation, LLC. So Boogie was able to move kilos of coke from Las Vegas to North Philly using his commercial driver's license and a tractor trailer. Boogie does his first few trips and it goes well, staying undetected. And soon, OBH starts pulling in hundreds of thousands a week doing this. To manage the weight and money coming in fast, Ab starts to shop for stash houses, buying up houses and apartments around Philly using false identities. The main one being on 3234 Sydenham Street in North Philly's trenches called The Mansion, where he felt so untouchable, he posted a picture of himself outside the mansion on Instagram with the caption, "My Trap House." It gets raided by the police. They find a bunch of crack, heroin, meth, a gun and cash, when the Philadelphia Police Department linked the mansion to a shooting that involved Skinny Me killing a guy who dissed him in a rap freestyle that was posted on Instagram. A witness sees a white Jeep fleeing the scene, and that's when Skinny Me drops it off right outside the mansion. Now, that Jeep was registered to Ab, who used the mansion's address to register it. No one was charged for the raid, because in Pennsylvania, the police can't raid a house and use what they find to charge them with a different crime, in this case, a murder. The streets got hot all the time. And while the PPD, who have been on OBH for years, never fully could take them down, but that's where the feds came in. They launch an investigation into OBH with the help of the police and the state, watching every move and looking into every detail. They start to work out that Boogie, Kaz, and Meliano are the key players trafficking the drugs by doing shit like tailing Boogie's red Volvo truck when they went to re-up in Cali, recording and taking photos of them with black bags large enough to carry kilo quantities of coke, putting GPS trackers on Boogie's truck, cellular site information, and using a pen register to tap and trace their phones. In Ar-ab's song Rivals, he says, "$250,000 loss, got a broke heart. And they snatched my dog, that's the worst part. One rat destroy everything you work for. I pray to God that he don't tell them who he worked for. I woke up broke, they took 10 of them." Which was a reference to Boogie when the feds executed a search warrant early hours of the morning on May 17th, 2018, where they found Boogie chilling in an apartment with 10 kilos of coke, 5 pounds of meth, and $20,000 in cash, making Boogie the first one in OBH to go down. Exactly 4 months and a day later, Ar-ab's top shooter, Skinny Me, gets arrested after being on the run from the police for the murder that happened the year before. Ab could feel the walls closing in on him but didn't stop anything, probably because it was too late anyways, which ended up being the case because a month after Skinny Me goes down. The feds came in hard, sweeping him up, and OBH members, which was Kaz, Meliano, Mullah, Shadi, and No Breaks Bras, who went on the run hiding out in LA, was caught and arrested out there a few months later. In trial, the prosecution put all the evidence in front of the judge and jurors. The social media posts, call and text logs, surveillance, incriminating lyrics, the whole lot. They all were facing up to 15 years for their part in causing mayhem in the streets of Philadelphia. But police wanted to nail Ab with a bigger sentence, so they turned to his top hitters at the time, Skinny Me and Taz, who was both down for murder. Skinny Me stayed solid, but Taz cooperated and snitched on everyone in OBH out of spite, because the thing was Ab didn't pay him for the hit, or even pay for his lawyer fees when he got booked. And when Dark Low found out he was cooperating with the police, he writes a letter to Taz threatening him to stop the snitching and withdraw his confessions. Taz turns the letter into the police, and it got Dark Low sentenced to 7.5 years for witness intimidation. What's crazy here is that the prosecution was also able to link RJ's murder to Ab when investigators discovered the lyrics for a track written 4 days after RJ's death in his phone saying, "I'll have the whole city scared, stand near home. I call Taz and tell him, bring that dude's head to me." Taz testifies against Ar-ab, explaining to the court, detailing how they planned out the hit. and how the 187 happened. But because of Taz's discrepancies in what he was saying, Ar-ab was never charged for it. And Taz, on the other hand, never got anything out of it. Not even a reduced sentence, because he had already pleaded guilty to the murder several months before. When it came time to considering the sentencing for Ab, the judge says, "You could have been a hero instead of a criminal," he said, "but you became a drug dealer. You made that decision. That's why you're being punished." Although he was never charged for any of the murders, and the lyrics were never used in the sentencing, he was sentenced to 45 years in the end, and his crew were all charged in the indictment. That's it for this video. Leave me a comment on what video I should do next. Subscribe if it was worth the watch. Until next time, I checked in, now checking out.